Okay, here we are. Hello, I'm Tom Smith, and I'm going to be talking about the Fast and Furious films for a bit. But before I begin, I should mention this off the bat. I'm not really a fan of the series at all. I don't really care about it in any really particular manner. But the series hardly gets any criticism, especially in the later films, and the later films are so intricately, awfully bad for so many reasons that I'm going to talk about it. Just, yeah. The first thing I want to say is like the first five films I don't mind or care for, but I will say this: the fifth film was a good, solid ending to the series they had made, and if they were going to continue it and have everything go like in a saw, what they call them, a sound, like in a into the woods musical kind of thing, it's fine, but the way they handle it is not good. Like, okay, let me explain. The thing is, up until the sixth film came out, when somebody died in the films, they fucking died and they stayed dead. So the impact of the deaths, though, had some impact. They, they were worth something. You know what I mean? And then they just resurrected this character, which was awful for so many reasons. The first reason is the fact that was the Vin Diesel's character. You know, he finally was able to move on after his lover wife is death, and move on with another girl who's woman. Sorry, who's been in a similar situation as him, and they got together. And what was the point of setting them up to be together to only break them apart in the next film? And have like literally no emotional connection to them breaking apart for like literally no reason. Makes the whole point of them getting together in the fifth film completely pointless. And on top of that, bringing back this character to keep in mind that the character I was mentioning that they got together with, because I'm going to be talking about that in a little bit again later on in films. But this is all in the sixth film we're talking about right now. But bringing this one character back to life literally undermines the impact and death of two of the characters in the fucking film that's in the sixth movie. Because literally two of their gang is basically dead, and although they try to have some impact to it, it's hard to have an impact to these two people that are supposedly dead when we have another dead character that has come back to life. And then things get worse on into the not just in the sixth, the seventh, but also the eighth film, is the fact that the villain is always caused by what happened from the last film on top of the last film. So all the horrible mistakes that happened in six is constantly forced, shoved, and reminded in your face every single time in the next fucking movie. Yeah. Let's see. Let's talk about that for a second. Trying to remember what the next thing we'll talk about. Let's see. We brought her back for no reason. Undermined deaths of these two main characters. Oh, God's Eye. That was what I want to talk about next. The God's Eye. Okay, the God's Eye. The weird, shitty bat signal thing from Nolan's Dark Knight thing, etc. All of those things, like the God's Eye, are awful, horrible, bad things that for some fucking reason, for films like Fast Furious 7 and others, they try and act like they're not when they are. I mean, it's the equivalent of it's the equivalent of having someone enter your house, the police enter your house, but without warrants and that being okay. That's the equivalent of what God's Eye is, but on the fucking internet. There's a reason we have to have our rights with our privacy, even online. Okay, I mean, I understand to some degrees when you put up public stuff like this, so you have to be careful what you say. I get that, but but considering but considering the possibility of something like the God's Eye being made, and the possibility of knowing every little detail about your life, even the parts that you know they shouldn't know, it's just, it's not right. And the fact that in throughout all of the seventh film, and even onto the eighth film, they constantly keep using this God's Eye thing instead of destroying it while they have the chance, because it's awful. It's so awful to think about it. Put it this way: imagine if someone, imagine not only if someone you got this technology like the God's Eye and used it to their own purposes, but imagine how they could use it. They could frame someone for crimes that the person who's using God's Eye committed, and have another innocent person literally screwed over for the rest of their life, because they can dig into their information and even manipulate and twist it in horrible, nasty, awful ways that are bad. It's not a good thing. It doesn't matter whose hands it is. It's something that should have never been made. Anyways, yeah, that's the whole thing with the God's Eye. And remember when I was mentioning a little earlier on about the relationship Vin Diesel's character had with this other gal before Resurrection Girl came back? Well, the thing is, she literally dies in the eighth film. She literally, not only does she die in the eighth film, but she dies with Vin Diesel's character's baby as well, which is so irritating to me, because the thing is, there's so many things awfully wrong about this, it's not funny. The first thing wrong about it is the fact that the impact of her death and the impact of the situation, which should have been filled with tension, considering this horrible, fucked up, villainous person has literally kidnapped this character and is using this kidnapping to, use Vin Diesel's character. And the tension that should be there, and the threat, the intimacy between Vin Diesel's character and her, the kidnapped person that has the baby, is null and void, because literally she's been drifted away from the sixth and seventh film so much, with only a few hints of her being pregnant, that by the time the eighth film comes out and she dies, and there's the whole kidnapping and forcing Vin Diesel, and Vin Diesel's forced to do things to help keep her safe, criminal things to keep her alive, all is meaningless. Her death is meaningless. The way she was used was just meaningless, because there was no intimacy between the two of them. There was no show of affection from the sixth film all the way to the eighth film. And because of that, when she dies, how she dies, the sort of relationship she should have had with Vin Diesel's character is gone. All the time they fucking wasted on Resurrected Girl and Vin Diesel, wasted the time they should have focused on the other girl's character and Vin Diesel. I'm sorry, but the two of them should have been the focus in a very intimate, more developed, better relationship from the sixth film all the way to the eighth. Why? Because if they wanted to go to the whole, kidnapping her, forcing Vin Diesel to do things that he wouldn't normally do, and then having her die, all for the baby, would have been far more impactful emotionally than before. And I know the Fast and Furious films aren't necessarily like Shakespeare or anything, but they could have done the stories in a way that were still simple and streamlined. Like, why couldn't they set up the sixth film and how everything turns to shit because of all their horrible decisions be done for a much more logical reason? Why don't we just see Vin Diesel's character, having a sort of decent life wherever he's hiding with his woman or her woman? You know what I mean? Only to realize that he's incredibly homesick and he wants to go home, but he can't. And then we see that the Rock's character is having this hard time chasing this villain and getting his ass kicked, and he needs help, and he knows the only people he can get help with is Vin Diesel's character and his crew or gang or however the hell you want to call them. And so, they make a deal that, he'll help them get rid of the bad guys if he gives them the ticket to go home after all this shit happens. and they agree, and then the deal's met, and then you have a better impact of the villains throughout the next 3 films and how everything turns to shit. And in the process, instead of focusing on, flaunting over resurrected girl that came back to life for no reason, undermining every other character's death that happens in the next 3 movies, they could have, focused more on Vin Diesel and the other girl having their a relationship in the Fast and Furious fashion, so that by the 8th film, when they decide to kill her, it actually has an actual emotional impact to a better degree than the films actually did. So, yeah. And I don't know. It's just so much shit going on in the there's so much shit going on from the 6th film to the 8th film. So many things, like how the undermining of death, bringing characters back to life for no real reason, it's just, yeah. And then the God's Eye thing. Oh, that's annoying. The to be fair, there are a few things that I think were positive about at least the 7th and 8th films. The intros, the openings for both the 7th and 8th film are great, even if the rest of the movies really not great at all. Like the 7th film had this pretty cool opening where Vin Diesel's making a speech that we don't realize at first, but we find out is his brother who has his ass whooped and he's in the hospital. Anyways, we just see him talking, and then we see that he's holding a weapon, and he hands the weapon to him, and then he's walking out of the hospital. We see that he beat the shit out of that place, and everything's destroyed and everything, and it's this great little scene of seeing the aftermath of an action scene, but without seeing the action itself. So it leaves a lot to your imagination of what Jason Statham did, and it was this great little scene. I love that. And then in the 8th film, that was great because it was such a simple, streamlined situation. 2 people having an argument. They couldn't see eye to eye. Then Vin Diesel's character comes in, enters in the whole idea of a race between the 2 of them, so they can see eye to eye. Then they have this fantastic race that's very simple and streamlined, and it just flows very fantastic in terms of the film because he has to race in this piece of junk car, and he manages to bastardize the damn thing to make it have this crazy engine and the nitro shit in there, and as he has to use it, the car's literally having this, it's breaking apart and it's burning up, and at the end it's literally at the point of blowing up, and he has to try and still has to ride this literally flaming car while trying to get to the finish line. It's great. It's a simple, streamlined race that builds up its stakes very nicely. And they're going to keep doing Fast and Furious films. Why can't you make a whole film like the opening of the 8th film? Just the opening. Take the opening, make a film on that stuff. Stop all this bogged down nonsense with God's Eye bullshit and the fucking killing off characters and resurrecting other characters for no rhyme or reason. And like I said, I'm not even a fan of the series. I don't even care. It's just I have there's people I'm close to that like it more, and I've seen all of these films, and I've seen them because of it. It's just these things with these films. It's just so irritating to me, and it's so sloppily written, and it shouldn't take that much effort to just rework it a little bit so it's less sloppy. At least that's what I think, anyways. But yeah, mind you, these are all just my opinions. You don't have to agree with me or anything, but yeah. All right. Yeah, I'm good now. I'm done. Bye.